Now let's discuss about the actual amount of a water which is required or which has to be supplied to the crop. The depth of a water which has to be maintained on the field required for the crop for its nourishment, and the period in between this period uh, we are doing the watering before the sowing up to the harvesting. So this is termed as a base period. So generally, uh, these are termed as the duty, delta, and base period. So let's discuss our first technical terms, that is the duty. It is a relationship between the volume of water and area of crop that it matures. And according to the technical term or technical point of view, this is defined as the number of hectares of land irrigated for a full growth of crop by supply of 1 meter cube per second of water continuously throughout the entire base period of a crop. Means what? For example, if 3 cubics of water supply is required for a crop sown in an area of 5,100 hectares, the duty of irrigation water will be 5,100, that is 5,100 divided by the 3 is 1,700 hectares per cubic, and the discharge of 3 cubic will be required throughout the best period of a crop. So this is how duty will be calculated. This is the relation. This shows the relationship between the volume of a water and area. So generally this is expressed, it is denoted by the capital D, and it is expressed as a hectares per cubic. We have two types of duty based on the direct irrigation and based on the storage irrigation. This duty again can be classified into two types, that is flow duty and storage duty or quantity duty. Flow duty is nothing but the duty that had been irrigated the land with given number of hectares of land by the supply of 1 meter cube of water continuously. We know that in the direct irrigation flow is directly diverted through the channel to the field, which is expressed as a hectares per cubic. So it irrigates this land, this hectares of a land by supply of a certain cubic of a water, or we can say the unit cubic of a water continuously throughout the base period of a crop. This type of a duty is called as a flow duty. Then we have storage duty, or it is also called as a quantity duty. We know that when it is not possible to directly divert the water through the various channels, because in some region we do not have a perennial river, so we have to store this water in a monsoon period. Then we have to discharge this water in a non-monsoon period. So this in this type of a duty, irrigation may be expressed in a hectares per million cubic meter of a water, which we are going to store this water in a reservoir. So we can directly calculate the capacity of reservoir by judging or by calculating this storage duty. So these are the two types of a duty, flow duty and the storage duty. This duty of water is expected in the following four ways. First is by the number of hectares that 1 cubic of water can irrigate during the best period. If you remember, just we had taken one example, that is, we have a 3 cubics of a water supply and we want to irrigate the 5,000 or 5,100 hectares of a land by using this water supply. So our duty will be 5,100 divided by the 3, the relationship, the amount of the area of our land divided by the water supply, the volume of a water which is actually supplied. So by calculating or by dividing this value, we will get the 1700 hectares per cubic of a duty. And we can say that this 3 cubic of a water will be supplied throughout the base period of a crop. So we will judging or we will expecting the duty of water in the following four ways. These four ways. The first one is by the number of hectares that 1 cubic of water can irrigate during the best period, that is 17 hectares per cubic. By the total depth of a water, how much depth of a water is required for the particular crop. Then by the number of hectares that can be irrigated by million cubic meter of stored water, and by the number of hectares meter expended per hectares irrigated. So these are, or in these four manners, we can judge or we can expect the duty of a water. So let's proceed for the next technical term, that is delta. See, each crop requires a certain amount of a water after a certain fixed interval of a time throughout its period of a growth. The depth of a water required every time generally varies from 5 to 10 centimeter depending upon the type of a soil, type of a crop and the climate. So, the total quantity of a water depth supply during the base period of a crop for its full growth. If the total quantity supplied were to stand above the surface without the percolation and evaporation losses, this total depth of a water is termed as a delta. It is denoted by delta sign. It is expressed in a centimeter, meter, or in mm. It is a vertical distance. It is a standing water level. So it is measured in a meter, centimeter, or mm. So, for example, if a crop requires about 12 waterings at an interval of 10 days and a water depth of a 10 centimeter, okay, so if the area, if the and a water depth of a 10 centimeter in every watering, then the delta for that crop will be 12 into 10, that is 120 centimeter. If the area under that crop is a hectares, the total quantity will be 120 centimeter into the area, that is hectares meter in the period of a 120 days. So in this manner, we will calculate or we are going to calculate the delta for how much depth of a water that can be stand above the surface without any losses is known as a delta. Next is a base period. Base period, it is the time between the first watering at the time of sowing to the last watering before the harvesting is known as a base period. It is denoted by the capital B and it is expressed in a number of days. Generally, this refers to the whole period of a cultivation from the time when the irrigation water is first issued for the preparation of the ground. So at the time of a sowing means we need to cultivate and we need to pluck the ground properly before the sowing. So the first watering which is required for this purpose, for this plugging and for this cultivation purpose, from this time up to the last watering before the harvesting, this time is known as a base period. So these are some technical terms which are mainly used in this chapter for calculating the volume of a water which is required for the crop and the total depth of a water which is required by the crop. Thank you.